Okay, guys, so this panel, we don't have an agenda. We're here to answer. I definitely want audience questions, audience participation. I definitely want to make sure that we're getting the things answered that you guys want to answered. And I'm going to start it off. I'm just going to put, get the elephant in the room out on the table, if you will. So, guys, and anybody just jump in here. But what's it take to be number one? Let's just throw a loaded question out there and just get it. So, who wants to jump in?
One sentence?
No, you can do it in one sentence if you can do it in one sentence. The better to get it on.
Quick fix.
I think what it takes to be number one is to develop a long-standing history of treating people right and setting an impression that brings them back to you so that you can continue to work with them. If you don't do that, if you live for the moment and you try to gross them as hard as you can and yes, you'll never see them again. You want them to have an impression that brings them back to you when they come back for a new car, that brings their son and daughter back and then their grandchildren. And you can accumulate that business over what we have a 21-year period and be extremely successful doing so. Because 20 years is a long time. That's a lot of cars to sell. And that's a lot of people to impress. And that's why we are where we are today, continuously growing.
Okay, well, let me just real quick. Go ahead. Don?
No, I was just going to say real quick, mine's a little different story than these guys. It was, like Arnold was saying before, we've just really been in a huge growth curve. So what made us number one in the market was a little bit of necessity. I built a new facility 5 years ago, and I found out real quick I had a small facility that my father had owned for 25 years before that and done very good, had a good small niche of customers. He took care of them, was happy. I moved across the street. All of a sudden I had this huge new facility to pay for, and I found out that my expense structure doesn't work anymore. I'd look at per employee, my profit and expense per employee. I just multiplied that by the number of people I needed to run my new facility and found out it didn't work. So out of necessity, I had to become an efficiency guru. I had to learn how to make more money with less people and pay a lot bigger bills. So what it took for us to be number one is super efficiencies, location, and luck.
Nikki?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with both of them, obviously. We're sister stores, but processes and procedures, same way, treating people the same exact thing over and over and over again to define that customer experience. I think that's really important also to add to both of theirs.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so now I'm gonna just throw a monkey wrench in the middle of this. Okay, because you guys have been number one for 5 years. You guys have been number one for 5 years. Prior to that, though, in my hometown of Houston, Texas, Landmark Chevrolet and Bill Hurd Chevrolet for many, many, many years dominated Chevrolet. You guys know that. Now you own them now, no question. You own them now. But what's changed? Think about this. I want everybody to think about this. What's changed? Because Bill Hurd Landmark sold a lot of Chevys. They pounded them out. So what's changed? Why all of a sudden is Bill Hurd gone? And now, so everybody in the room knows these guys own at least two of the stores that I know of. Are there any more? Did you guys get the Nashville store or anything? Anybody else? Any of the other stores?
Only two Bill Hurd.
Only those two Bill Hurds. So what's changed?
The Landmark store lost its franchise rights. The Arizona store put the chains on the door, and we tried to look into getting it. The franchise wasn't going to be coming back. There were two opportunities. There was one in Plant City, Florida, and one in Sugar Land, Texas, right next to Houston. And those stores were going through bankruptcy court, and man, what a deal. Really nice, large facilities. But the demise of Bill Hurd and his empire, Mr. Big Volume, was a result of living for the moment. A culture of people who were, I don't know if you remember the movie Boiler Room, but just, producing and not really yielding anything the customer could have value in. More of a sick feeling in their tummy when they leave. You come into their lot, there's a guard shack, you have to register to come in, and it's more designed to keep you from leaving. And holding your trade keys above your head, maybe throwing them in the drain if you say something to piss off the salesperson, and that's just not how you treat people. You got to treat people like you care about them. you should care about them. They're wanting to do business with you. So
what do you think has made us step up to be successful in Crosley? What do you, as opposed to not only them going down, but what do you think helped you succeed?
In my case, I concentrated on something 5 years ago when we built the new facility. The big move was, and what changed my market was the ability to give people relevant data. Everything my entire day works around how to work more efficiently and how to give my customers relevant data. So the two guys that were the bigger dealers in my market still do good numbers. They haven't fallen that much. I just took advantage of the units in service and changed the model. In other words, it's all the next generation of kids that are coming up. I'm talking the 18 to 25-year-olds now. They look different than the generation before. How they gather data, how they categorize all the information, it's much, much different than their parents did. So what I mean by that is if you don't give them relevant data right now that they want, they're gone. They're on to the next location. So a lot of what I'm doing is making sure I'm giving the relevant data to the right person. Stuff that starts as simple as when you have a huge sale come out on Focuses. Let's say there's a $5,000 rebate that's only good for 2 months. We all get real excited. We all want to, if we're harnessing the email and stuff, we send out email blasts and stuff like that. Well, if you send the guy that's bought 3 F350 crew cab dually diesels from you a deal on a Focus, he doesn't really care. Now, you're not going to upset him, but you're going to push him away as a customer. He doesn't think that you know him. That's not relevant data to him. And so what happens is you get thrown away, thrown in the mailbox. So where we've moved the needle is that ability to monitor each customer and pay attention to what they want as through their whole purchase cycle, sales, service, the whole design.
Okay, so basically what I'm hearing, and I got to tell you, I agree with these guys, because for years, if you worked in Houston, I sold cars in Houston, started selling cars in Houston in '84. And for years in Houston, as car dealers, as car sales guys, we used to always say, yeah, but those Bill Hurd guys, they're going to eventually go out of business one day. And we said that for years and years. And we said it about Lawrence Marshall, too. Lawrence Marshall was a huge store. Sold more cars in totality than Bill Hurd. They were selling close to 1,000 cars a month, new and used, or actually 1,200 cars if you had it used. So 1,200 cars a month, new and used, in a little town called Hempstead outside of Houston, about 50 miles outside of Houston on the north side. And Bill Hurd Chevrolet sold about 1,000 cars a month at their Landmark Chevrolet store, new and used. And the Bill Hurd store in Sugar Land sold about 700 cars, 600 to 700 cars a month. And for years we would say, they're going to go down, because they wrung them out. They're going to go out of business any day. Until finally, I literally, in probably the late 90s, early 2000s, you just didn't hear it anymore. Because we had said it so long, and it never did happen. It never came to fruition. And then all of a sudden in 2008, you see the padlocks go on the doors. And I can tell you, that goes back to a saying, if you catch any part of Business at the Speed of Thought by Bill Gates, it always tells you everything we think is going to happen. We always say it's going to take 5 years to happen, and it takes 10 years to happen. So everything basically you think is going to happen takes longer than you think. This took a long time coming, but when it came, it came in literally less than a year. It took to take 30 years of dominance down. And it came down to the fact that those people, and you guys, if you guys disagree with me, jump in here, but all those people for years that they had wrung out couldn't really tell anybody. They could tell 15, 20 people before they forgot. But then all of a sudden, when you could get on Facebook and on Twitter and online and tell thousands and have it there forever, that was the killer, if you ask me.
I don't have an argument against that. That's a really good point. However, I wanted to add to it. From a financial perspective, probably your hugest expense in your dealership is going to be personnel. And he had a very bad habit of hiring personnel at ridiculous, cost. People that were making way more money than they should have made per year. It's not really thinking out, in the success of a business and, what kind of bottom line you're retaining. And there were people that were getting paid way too much to work there and not producing a result that had a positive net figure. And in financial terms, and what leads to bankruptcy was exactly that.
Good point. I mean, bottom line, what you're hearing here, guys, and jump in from the audience by all means, but what you're hearing here is personnel. So far, we haven't talked a single thing about advertising, and I will tell you, Landmark Chevrolet and Bill Hurt combined spent close to $1 million a month or more in advertising. You're not here, but you're not hearing about that. You're not hearing